Dear Alicia, you've been really hard on yourself lately, and you need to slow down. You need to stop. You need to regroup. And you need to look within for what you need. You had success kind of early in life, in academics in school, and in some other arenas. But you lost faith in yourself. You were sitting in church, worshiping God from infancy to the current time. You listened to all the different messages from all the different scripture. And a key message, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, somehow lost its way in your subconscious. You read it, you thought it, you briefly put it away, and for some reason, even though you're a baptized believer, you said that scripture is not applicable to me. You didn't say it consciously. You said it subconsciously. You said it every time that you abused food. You said it every time that you did things to your body that weren't healthy. You said it every time that you allowed yourself to date men that you knew were not for you, that you knew didn't have the core values that you had. You said it every single time that you looked in the mirror and you thought you were too something, too fat, too white acting, too black acting, too acne riddled, too kinky haired, too curly haired, too pretentious, too trying to be something that you're not, too conservative, too persuasive. With every use of the word too, that 3-letter dirty little word, you said to yourself you were not enough. You said to yourself that your critics, those who say they love you, those who say they have their best interest, your best interest at heart, really have their best interest at heart. They're thinking about their perception of you without always getting to know the real you first. You allowed all that to sink into your brain, and you didn't get to know yourself well enough first. You know yourself. It's the same self that you knew and fell in love with as a little girl. It's the same self that you try to revisit briefly for a few seconds, who was like 5.5, 6, 7 years old, who loved to have a good time, who loved to meet people, but yet you were kind of slow to speak and say anything first. You kind of would feel people out a little bit first. But once you got to know somebody, oh, you gave them your heart. You gave them your time. And you gave them your commitment. The same little girl who loved to color and would not always color inside the lines. The same little girl who would put her 8-track tape into the player, or put the record, the actual vinyl, on your dad's stereo record player when he wasn't looking, and the big headphones on your ears, and listen to music for hours upon hours upon hours. Trying to hear that riff, trying to have it ingrained in your mind. That same little girl that would watch her mother cook in the kitchen, who would watch her grandmother cook in the kitchen and ask, what did you put in there? Can I have some? Who watch your other grandmother make a cake and be like, ooh, can I lick from the batter? That same little girl who knew as just a little kid, a grade schooler, that you needed water in order to replenish yourself so that you can go on for hours upon hours playing or doing homework or whatever it is that you were doing. That little girl, you try your best to tap into her, because that little girl knew that you were somebody. That little girl didn't see you as a filthy rag, full of sin, full of just awful things. That little girl knew that you were created to be more, that you're able to do more, that you're able to do whatever it is that God has in store for you. You knew. But somehow you let go of that little girl's hand and you left her. You grew up. You got serious. You thought putting away childish things meant you couldn't have fun and you couldn't enjoy yourself. And you chose something that was not your passion. You chose something that you were not in love with, and you studied that. And you didn't work all that hard at it because it wasn't your passion. And then you got that piece of paper and you were like, now I have to work in this field. You didn't find anything in that field, so you slowly started to slip away from yourself. Further and further and further. And you thought that if I could find one or two things about this means to an end, that you would be happy. But you weren't, because all of that was not the real you. So as your body has changed, as your hair is grayed, as you filled out in all the wrong places, wrong according to society, and you found yourself alone, you've got to ask yourself, what are you going to do now? And how are you going to do it? How are you going to return to the person that you really are? And stop playing the games and stop pretending with everybody that everything's okay, because it's not. How are you going to cultivate the confidence within yourself to really live and not just get by? How?